particular scenario and this situation where the Black Stars are going to take part in this four-nation tournament. How much in terms of worth can we draw out of it? Today we'll be going round. We'll be speaking to some friends who've been following the exploits of the Black Stars team. And of course, we'll also be going over to Trinidad and Tobago, where their national team will also be taking part in this. We'll speak to some journalists there and gauge the mood and gauge their thoughts as well as they also take part in this. Also, we'll be going over to Nigeria and having conversations with some journalists there as the Super Eagles also try to, get their act together and make yet another appearance at the FIFA World Cup. Remember, some teams are in transition, and the Black Stars team obviously is in transition as well. What's the state of the team? How can we get things right with the national team in terms of getting ready for these qualifiers? Welcome to the Joy Sports Link here on Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Nathaniel Attoh, and as usual, backed by the rest of the Joy Sports team, we're going to bring you this big conversation. Remember, you can be a part of this, and I'm sure that by now, you can just, call this out when even in the middle of your sleep. 055-1111-997 is the WhatsApp line. 055-1111-997. You can also prefix with +233, so it'll be +233 55-1111-997. Join us with your thoughts as well as we look at getting the Black Stars ready ahead of time. We've got a couple of months to go to June, half of the year. And so it's important that we start the conversations now and get ourselves ready for that preparatory tournament that will be played. Welcome to the Joy Sports Link. I'm glad to be serving you this big conversation. And so the 2025 Unity Cup, which is returning in June this year in London, is celebrating African and Caribbean heritage through football. And of course, as I've mentioned already, this tournament will feature Ghana, Nigeria, Trinidad and Tobago, and Jamaica. Of course, these four nations have richness in culture and community spirit. The first one was held in 2015, and it aims to strengthen the ties among diaspora communities, showcasing their talent and fostering unity. For Ghana, it marks a return to the tournament after nearly a decade, and it presents a unique opportunity to engage the football fans abroad ahead of upcoming international competitions, as I've mentioned. So the competition kicks off on Tuesday, May 27, with a historic Caribbean battle as Trinidad and Tobago's Soca Warriors take on Jamaica's Reggae Boys in what is being called the first ever Trini Jam clash on UK soil. That will be interesting. And then on Wednesday, May 28, there's the two West African giants, the Black Stars of Ghana, reigniting that fierce rivalry with Nigeria's Super Eagles in a West African showdown that is, that promises some high drama. The winners of those two games will emerge to the final stage, and then we'll see who picks up that very big trophy. Of course, in terms of the recent history, the Black Stars came out of a very long run of not winning any games to recording 2 successive victories against Chad and Madagascar. And of course, this has built great confidence in the fans. But of course, the ultimate aim, like has been said, will be to make an appearance at the next FIFA World Cup, which will be hosted by 3 nations: United States of America, Canada, and Mexico. Ghana's showing at the last FIFA World Cup in Qatar has been recorded as well the poorest performance yet, considering that there was a first round exit. And so there is a lot of focus in terms of how we can reorganize and get ourselves ready for the rest of the assignments ahead.
Great wins, but there's always room for improvement, and we have some certain areas surely where we can improve. I think we had a really solid defense, and we also scored a lot of goals. But in between, like the connection has to be much more stronger, because especially the second game against Mali will be very, very tough. But if we continue like that, I think we'll be successful. And Andre, yeah, we see. I mean, like I said, the team is always open. I'm looking, and if we need him, surely we'll call him. At the moment, I see others ahead of him.
Well. So we'll be getting into the conversations very shortly, but it's also very important to get a very big dose of Formula One action. And of course, Kwabena Poku, who is the coordinator of F1 Ghana, or the Motorsport Association of Ghana, has joined as usual. Kwabena, good to have you here on the show.
Good to have you too. How are you, my boss?
Been good.
The boss himself.
We'll continue the rest of that one off air. Kwabena, before we go into what is ahead of us, let's just throw back a bit and tell us what the key highlights for you have been from the last Grand Prix.
Well, the key highlights have been the fact that we're seeing a new what do you call it? Emerging a faster car than what the Red Bulls have been dominating over the couple of years. So the McLarens are showing up this year, except that they are having a few strategy issues in terms of determining who is their fastest driver and who is not their fastest driver. And, you know, if you take the last race, they literally gifted it to Max Verstappen because they took a team decision which clearly affected them. And they have the fastest car on the grid. Clearly, they have the fastest car on the grid. Mercedes is showing up. You understand? This year, they don't really have the issues they've been having over the last couple of years. They have a very good driver. Their rookie driver, and Kimi Antonelli, who replaced Lewis Hamilton, is really driving well. Very fantastic driver, very, very fast. Lewis is in Ferrari. He has a very fast car, but his team engineers are giving him wrong strategies over the last few races. But at least we're hoping he shows up this particular race in terms of Bahrain for tomorrow's race. They've done a few changes to the car and all of that. So we're just hoping that he shows up this particular race. Yeah. So that's where we are. We're going into the Bahrain Grand Prix tomorrow, and we're hoping that Ferrari is going to make an impact, number one. I am hoping that McLaren will keep the momentum up. I'm actually rooting for them to take a 1 and 2 in Bahrain.
I've always talked about, the course, I always like to focus on, the nature of the course. And this always is a good time to do some description here. And so it looks like, how would you call it? It looks like a horseshoe in a way. Like two horseshoes that have been put together.
I know, right?
Yeah,
it looks like a two horseshoe.
Yeah,
but it's one of the fastest and most heated tracks in terms of the temperature on the tracks itself.
Yeah.
So a lot of tire degradation, tire wearing out, and all of that. So when it comes to Bahrain, it's mainly won on strategy. Mainly won on strategy, your tire maintenance, and all of that. But it's a very, very interesting track. And mind you, the king of that track is Lewis Hamilton. He's had 5 wins or so over there. And he holds the highest number of wins on that particular Bahrain track.
I see. Okay, now we've had some surprises. In the last season, we had some surprises. Tell me about the possible surprise you'd probably want to expect based on maybe the last 2 or 3 races.
Well, based on the last 2 or 3 races, I probably would say the new Mercedes driver, which is Kimi Antonelli, probably showing up and giving them a very good race. That's what I'm actually saying, that Kimi may surprise us all in terms of the whole season as a whole, So, give and take, when it also comes to Oscar Piastri, I think Oscar might surprisingly win the championship this season. Because number one, the McLarens have and I keep saying it, they have a very fast car. All those 2 cars are very fast. But in terms of the fastest driver in the McLaren team right now, I'll give it to Piastri.
Okay. Kwabena, let's also focus on the possibility of swaying fans to join other teams, other race teams. Have you seen?
Yeah, well,
yeah. Okay, so how much of it have you seen, especially here in Ghana with F1 GH? How has it been like in terms of fans swaying to join other teams, and what's the spread like? Tell us.
So when it comes to F1, there are 2 types of supporters. You have the team fans, and then you have the driver fans, right? You're talking about sway in the season, mostly because of the driver fans. We've already had 3 races. Now, this is the first season where Lewis Hamilton is driving for Ferrari. Mind you, he's driving for Mercedes-powered engines for the past 12 years. And for the first time, he's driving a Ferrari-powered engine in a Ferrari car. So in Australia, in China, and in Japan, you could tell massive Lewis Hamilton fans. Massive, what do you call it? Branded Ferrari shirts everywhere, branded Lewis Hamilton materials everywhere, fan-holding materials. In Ghana, same thing is happening. If you come into our field, massive movement of Lewis Hamilton fans from Mercedes to Ferrari, even in terms of merchandise sales and all of that. We come to the viewing parties and everybody People who used to wear the black and white Mercedes merchandise are now wearing the red shirts with Lewis Hamilton's 44 on it. So there's been that massive push of fans. In China, it was so crazy to the extent that when Lewis won the sprint in China, it was amazing for the Lewis Hamilton fans. Even when a McLaren driver ended up winning the main Grand Prix itself, you could tell in the fans that it was all read up with Lewis Hamilton fans everywhere. So the shift has been massive, and we're expecting the same shift on every course, that every circuit that they are visiting this season. You will see it at Bahrain, you will see it in Monza, Ferrari's home, you will see it in Imola, Ferrari's home, you will see it at the British Grand Prix. A lot of British fans will be wearing Ferrari at the British Grand Prix this year, so it's crazy. It's really crazy.
Great. Let's wrap up on plans for tomorrow and how the converted fans are going to follow their respective drivers.
So tomorrow we'll be at the Labadi Beach Hotel as usual. This is the first time we're going to Labadi this season, and so it's going to be an amazing race. We have, as usual, we get a 20% discount on food and beverages. The thing is Labadi from lunchtime 3 p.m. To 12 p.m. and the race starts at 3 p.m. So and it's a family time, so people can come with their families, and all to come and have a dine and wine at Labadi before the race starts at 3. And Nat, this season, we're also doing a premiere for the F1 movie at Silverbird, the one starring Brad Pitt, in June. So the F1 movie is coming out, which is produced by Lewis Hamilton. So we're having a full premiere at Labadi at the Silverbird Cinemas, and then after party at the pit stop in Laboni.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Would watch that movie over and over again. Kwabena, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's see what happens tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The Bahrain Grand Prix.
All right.
Thank you so much. Kwabena Poku is the coordinator of F1 GH, bringing us a bit of analysis on what we should be expecting tomorrow at the viewing party. And now we get into the conversation about the Black Stars and that big tournament. It's that Unity Cup tournament to be played in London. And we have a whole host of contributors to the show today. One from the heart of Lagos, Nigeria. He will be joining us very shortly. Also, we'll be having a conversation with someone who knows what it means to play a Ghana versus Nigeria game in London. We'll be reaching ex-Ghana international and coach Laye Kingston from his base in the United States of America. He was a very big part of Ghana's last victory against Nigeria in an international friendly. That is a moment that every Ghanaian football fan would want to relive. And for all the Gen Zs, if you were not too, conscious at that time, go and look for the videos and watch that game. It was something else. Well, Fisayo Diarra is the chief football writer for ACLsports.com, joins us from the heart of Lagos, Nigeria. And Fisayo, thank you so much for making the time to be here. And I love your colors already. I know this is not, a Super Eagles shirt, but I love the green, white, green.
Yeah, very good afternoon to you. It's a huge pleasure to join you guys on the show this afternoon.
Great stuff there. Of course, Laye Kingston will also be joining us. And then later on, we will be going over to Trinidad and Tobago to speak to James Saunders, who is a journalist as well. Also, from here in Ghana, specifically from the Garden City, which is known as the haven for support for Ghana football, Attoh Poku, seasoned journalist and analyst, he joins us. But of course, he switched locations a bit. He is in the US at the moment, and he'll be joining us for the conversations. Attoh, thank you so much for making the time to be with us. It's been a while.
Well, thanks for having me, Nat. It's great to be with you. I hope all is well.
Great. Hope you're enjoying your cool off time so far.
Oh, some small old woman problems, but we are managing it.
It's all good. Also, we'll be joined later on by Laye Kingston. He's an ex-Ghana international. And, of course, he is a youth coach and has a very good resume up to this point. He's an immediate past head coach of the Black Starlets team. So let's start off the conversation with you, gentlemen. Let me go over to Fisayo. Fisayo, give me an idea of, and for the unconverted and those who do not know, draw that picture of this rivalry, irrespective of, the branding of the game. Friendly, competitive. It's a Ghana-Nigeria fixture. Tell me how serious Nigerian football fans take these games, especially when it means the Black Stars and the Super Eagles? Fisayo.
Yeah, thank you very much. I must start by saying that we all know that the Ghana-Nigeria rivalry goes beyond football. To a large extent, it has transcended across all walks of life. Up until some years back when it even turned to a jollof war, where we contest who has the best jollof rice among both nations. So, like rightly said, it's a battle that has been there for ages. And although we are the best of friends, Nigerians and Ghanaians are the best of friends also in Africa. So it makes it even quite more competitive when you see two friends competing on a football field and knowing that they cannot afford to take defeats back home to their to their nation. And now for this, these two countries have been at the jugular of each other for years now. And the freshest memory was the fact that Ghana prevented Nigeria from getting to the World Cup in 2022 in Qatar. Where I was in Kumasi for that first leg where we drew goalless. And then I was in Abuja as well in a return leg when Thomas Partey spoiled our party, in which the game ended in a 1-1. So whenever it's Nigeria and Ghana, it's a game where nobody wants to lose. And that makes it extra special. Nobody wants it to be a friendly game, and then you can just afford to send in a second string side and roll over. It's Ghana versus Nigeria. You must not lose. And that's the magnitude of it for us here in Nigeria.
Interesting thoughts you bring in there. So it is a very, very important set of fixtures, as we look forward to June. Tell me how fans have been reacting to the last couple of results that Nigeria, the Super Eagles have recorded in the qualifiers. I know that because of Nigeria's pedigree on the continent, it becomes very, very difficult, especially in times like these when, generally, Nigeria has some very good names scattered around big leagues in the world, that you are not able to get the kind of results that the fans are looking for. Tell me how the fans have been reacting to the last 2 or 3 results in the World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah, the response has been quite predictable. We missed out on the last World Cup, like I mentioned earlier, to Ghana, and now Nigerians, especially considering that the next World Cup will be played in 3 nations: USA, Canada, and Mexico, and we have a large community. To even call it a community is just putting it mildly. We have a whole lot of Nigerians in USA and Canada, and quite a lot of people will have wanted to be there on the World Cup platform. So seeing how badly the team has played in these competitions, how unsettled they've been, we've made use of fully good managers, and none of them can even win 2 games in a row. So the response to that have been quite predictable. They've always reacted badly and in fury to these results, and especially the last one against Zimbabwe. I was right there inside the stadium for that game, and the moment the Zimbabweans equalized, few seconds to the end of the game, there was a pin drop silence in the stadium. That was the initial reaction. Nobody believed something like that could happen. It was a game the Super Eagles had in control. They were 1-0 up. And after the game, that was where we saw the outpour of the emotions. Yes, they did not spoil things. They did not throw things at the players. But, as journalists spoke with a number of fans, they were terribly sad and unhappy with how the guys could not just hold on to a 1-0 lead with seconds to play against a team like Zimbabwe. So, like I've reiterated, the response have been quite predictable. They have not taken it lightly at all. And hopefully, when you consider that the last time we had Unity Cup in 2004, Nigeria won it on a canter, maybe this year's edition will perhaps bring some succor, although it is nothing to compare to missing out at the World Cup for another edition.
If you just joined us, we're still live here on the Joy Sports link on Joy 99.7 FM. Greetings to all of our friends joining us from all over the world via our live stream on YouTube. And of course, greetings to all of our friends who are also joining us from within Ghana as well. Remember, you can send in your messages. It's +233 5511 11997. +233 5511 11997. We're taking a close look at the upcoming Four Nation Unity Cup tournament to be played in the UK in June. Between May and June. And of course, these four nations, I'm talking about Nigeria, Ghana, Trinidad and Tobago, and Jamaica, using all of this for various reasons to test the level of the form, especially of these teams as they get further into international competition. So here with me from Nigeria is the chief editor of ACLsports.com, Fisayo Diaro, and he's been talking about, the fans, how they've received recent results. And so just so you have an idea, and I'll be going to Ghana's group as well and giving you an idea how it's looking like, looking at the other groups of the other two nations that are participating in this Unity Cup tournament as well. So South Africa is currently leading with 13 points. Rwanda follow with 8 points. Benin follow also with 8 points as well. And then Nigeria on 7 points. Lesotho on 6 points. And Zimbabwe on 4 points. Nigeria in fourth place at the moment. But of course, after two games, the situation on this, Group C table can change completely. And that's what I would want Fisayo to address. Of course, Fisayo will be, staying for a bit. I mean, he's got other commitments this afternoon, and we do appreciate your time greatly this afternoon. And then after that, I'll come for Atapoku's opening comments, about the importance of a tournament like this and what the Black Stars could also draw from it. All right, so let's also look at the situation with Coach Eric Schell. Now, he took over from Finidi George, one person who as a player was greatly admired because of what he contributed to the Super Eagles of the mid-90s, the triumph of 1994, the show in the FIFA World Cup 1994 in the USA, and eventually in 1998 when that very big victory came against Spain and all of that. He came in, took up the mantle as head coach of the Super Eagles team he was part of previously, and then things didn't go well, and he had to take a bow for Eric Schell, the former Mali boss, to take over. How tough is the task for him from where you sit, Fisayo?
It's very tough, and the task has been made tougher by that draw against Zimbabwe in New York. The honest expectation and prayers of the fans were that we get a 6 points against Rwanda and Zimbabwe. It started on the right note, got the 3 points away to Rwanda. And that's why that draw against Zimbabwe at home was excruciating in the sense that, it's easier, it's better to chase South Africa when you have 9 points than to chase them when you have 7 points, So we have just 4 matches left. So South Africa, as it stands, has 6 points ahead of Nigeria. Nigeria still have a trip to South Africa. The other unseen advantage for the South Africans is the fact that all other countries in Nigeria's group, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, they play their home games in South Africa. So it's a bit of advantage for them. South Africa will still get to play one of them on home soil, playing away from them. So it's very, very tough. Winning those two games will have at least narrowed the gap, and then we just know that again we'll come back in the next qualifying series, win the next two games, which will include the trip to South Africa, and then that's where the gap is closing. But now at 6 points, an average Nigerian is giving up already, just not to give themselves real hope, because even if any country were to be in the position that South Africa have themselves at the moment, they wouldn't want to let it slip.
All right, just before I come to you for your concluding comments, especially considering, what you want to draw out of this, and of course, some of the key, talents and key names that you'll be relying on for this very massive assignment. Let me bring in Atapoku, who is also joining us from the US. He's been following the exploits of the Black Stars for some time now. Ata, obviously, there is a sort of relief that is running across here in Ghana, because at this moment, the Black Stars are enjoying a lead, at the top of the Group I table after going through a bit of a rough patch.
Absolutely. We were rock bottom in La Côte d'Ivoire in January last year, and it couldn't get any worse. That is here. And I remember when we were going to the Alassane Ouattara Stadium for that game against Mozambique, we went with a lot of Nigerian journalists, and they were so certain in the media shuttle that the Black Stars were not going to progress in the competition. So we look at where we were in January 2024 and where we are currently, especially after we sank further bottom by failing to qualify for the AFCON in Morocco. It's only fair that once you can't get any worse than where you are, you begin to make an accent. So it's quite significant that we are leading the World Cup, and the conversation around it here, that Ghana is talking their World Cup group and that Nigeria could miss out, is one that goes back to what happened in 1994. The Super Green Eagles were shining in the United States, and the Black Stars of Ghana had to settle for all that happened to them, especially that Battle of Tlemcen that is being christened in Ghana Sports Chronicles. So it's good that we are leading our group, and I'm happy that the management team of the Black Stars, the Ghana Football Association and the Nigerian Football Association has put together this package for Ghanaians in the UK enclave, and also those in Europe, to get closer to the Black Stars. No matter what we say, no matter the disappointment, no matter how painful it is for us, not the Black Stars is a team you just can't stop loving and following. In all my travels with them, I've actually come to accept it, that there is no other national team, not even the Dutch national team that I grew up idolizing in the Netherlands. It's one that I could attach myself to, like the Black Stars. But for this very game, it's significant, and that you actually made it perfectly with the kind of expectation we are going to have. The Ghanaian community and the Nigerian community in the UK is a very significant one. You put together what we have from Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica, and you have what you would call the creme de la creme of the diaspora in the UK. And I'm so happy. I'm also very happy that Lai Kensen is here, because look, the disappointment of Camp 2008 actually started when we played against Nigeria at Brentford's Griffin Park. And it's also very significant because in 2007, it was Brentford Stadium that we beat Nigeria before coming down to prepare for the AFCON. That was in 2007. And this time around, we are going to the GTEC Stadium to play them. Lai Stephen Appiah managed to play Nigeria in 2006 in Egypt. We lost 1-0 to Taitao's goal, exited the tournament all amidst disappointment. But we played our last World Cup preparatory game at Griffin Park before going to the World Cup in Germany. Beyond that, we also played Nigeria at Griffin Park, and we are going back to Brentford's new GTEC Stadium to play them there. Now, that midfield was peak Ghana, at the peak of our powers from 2006 to 2017, when we exited in Egypt and went to the semi-finals so many times throughout. That performance, that midfield performance, Stephen Appiah, Lai Kensen, who on that day was just splendid, Michael Essien, and then Sule Muntai, put down an exhibition for the Black Stars against the Super Green Eagles. Lai probably would have been in the team bar, so wouldn't have seen what exactly happened before the game started. The game delayed for 35 minutes, and Brentford was overwhelmed by the number of Ghanaians. I think about 6,000 people didn't have tickets, but were trying to get their way into the Griffin Park just for this game. So look, it's significant. We are putting together the very best of the diaspora conversation at the GTEC Stadium in West London for the diaspora people. And no matter what anybody says, I've had conversations about which players are going to be available. It's always going to happen right after some leagues are over, especially the Premier League and all. But look, this is very significant. It's a rebuild for Ghana, it's a rebuild for Nigeria, and it's consolidation for those in the UK, especially the diaspora, to be seeing the Trinidad and Tobago team, the Radio Boys, the Super Green Eagles, and then the Black Stars squared up. It brings so much memories from that splendid game in 2007 at the Griffin Park.
So much in terms of memories indeed. And you can also send what you remember of those very important games that were played. Very, very important games indeed. And anytime Ghana and Nigeria play, it's sure is a very big spectacle indeed, and that's what we're trying to get into, this afternoon on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. Let's come to you, Fisayo. Now, obviously, Nigeria would want to do a maximum, of 12 points, 12 possible points from the remaining games in these qualifiers. But of course, that's a very tall order. Walk me through what it is that you feel the head coach, Eric Schell, would be looking forward to doing with this tournament as we look forward to the rest of the qualifiers.
All right. First and foremost, the competition comes at the end of a grueling season in June. So we expect a number of players to withdraw from it. So I remember vividly the 2004 edition. It was a competition that gave us the likes of Obafemi Martins. He made his debut for the Super Eagles in that tournament, and he became a key part of the Super Eagles for the next 6 years at least. It was also the same competition that year that brought us the likes of Sheyi Olofinjana, likes of a certain goalkeeper, Sunday Rotimi, Sheyi Olajengbesi, and the likes. So Eric Schell had a lot of Nigerian players in Europe that Nigerians feel are being guarded away from the national team. So having such a tournament whereby the top stars may not be available, someone like Victor Osimhen will not be available because Galatasaray's last league game of the season comes up on July 1, which means the Unity Cup will be holding before that particular last game of the season. And with the way Fenerbahce are dragging Galatasaray on top of the Super League table, you don't think Osimhen will be excused for that tournament. So what does that do? It gives Eric Schell the opportunity to call on other fringe attackers, likes of Tolu Walashea Arokodare, who plays in Belgium with Genk, the likes of Akko Adams at Sevilla, the likes of Taiwo Awoniyi, who has not really played much recently with Nottingham Forest. So significantly, it gives Schell the opportunity to test some of these players that would want to be in the main Super Eagles squad when the qualifiers resume in September. So what am I saying? From the defensive position, Nigerians are already complaining about William Troost-Ekong as being aging. Now, in the last games against Rwanda and Zimbabwe, a couple of young defenders were called up. Igor, former under-29 international, and Belgian-born Jordan Torinaria. These two guys have not played for the Super Eagles. So I would expect that we could see both players at the heart of the defense. Even like Calvin Bassey of Fulham, Alex Iwobi of Arsenal, of Fulham as well, can be given rest for equally top-class players, like Frank Onyeka, who was at Brentford last season, and so on and so forth.
Before you go on, the subject of William Troost-Ekong is one of great interest because here in Ghana as well, we have had our own fair share of issues around the leadership of the team and when to give rest to who is leading the team, and when we can do assessments of their form and what they're contributing to the team. I mean, from here and from where I sit, William Troost-Ekong is such a big asset to the team. His leadership is unquestionable, and he brings a wealth of experience. But of course, that also will conflict against what probably the coach will be thinking. Is the general conversation about resting him or getting him to take a back seat for others to go on, is that what it is? Is that the situation?
Yeah, and it may not be all connected to the last game against Zimbabwe. But personally, I think that Ekong has lost some pace when you compare him to the one that gave us what we called Uyibo War in 2017. While qualifying for the 2018 World Cup, we had William Troost-Ekong partnering with Leon Balogun, both players born in Europe. So they were Caucasians, obviously. So we called them the Uyibo War, and they delivered the World Cup ticket to Nigeria on a platter of gold. But although he was named the best player at the AFCON in Cote d'Ivoire, but I must say that it was significantly helped by the fact that Nigeria played 3 defenders in that competition. You're playing 3 men at the back and you are the one at the libero at the center of it all. You tend to run less and concentrate on distribution and then winning aerial drills. But the new coach says he wants to play a 4-4-2 diamond, and that's why Ekong was grossly exposed, not only because he was culpable for the goal that Zimbabwean scored. Even from the first half, he was off the pace in the game. So a lot of Nigerians have been saying, we need more defenders. Someone suggested Leon Balogun, who is still going strong with Rangers in Scotland. But again, Leon is like 3-4 years older than Ekong. So why not look to the future? The Unity Cup has come at the perfect time for us to look at the future. I've mentioned the goal he plays for Slavia Prague in Czech Republic. I've mentioned Jordan Torinaria. He plays for Genk in Belgium. There are other players. There is a defender in Nigeria with one really good Remo Stars, Nduka Jr. So perhaps this competition will be a perfect way for us to usher us into the next level. Because at this point, realistically, we may not make it to the World Cup. The World Cup qualifying series ends in October. But guess what? The Africa Cup of Nations comes up in December. And if Nigeria are able to win that AFCON gladly with Ghana not there in Morocco, then it could be some sort of panacea to Nigerian football fans that will be missing the world, that might, or most likely be missing the World Cup. Because personally, I don't think we have any chance of qualifying again. So for our fans, if we can win the AFCON in Morocco, that will go a long way in soothing that pain that we've had and of likely missing the World Cup for the 2nd consecutive edition.
Fisayo, I'll be coming to you for your final thoughts, but it's a good time to bring in Ghana legend Laie Kingston, and he has been in the last 15 to 17 years one of the masterminds of some of the big wins or big days that Ghana has recorded against the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We do immediately remember the quarterfinal clash in the Africa Cup of Nations 2008, where he was brought on as a substitute and provided that and started off what led to that winning Junior, the late the winning goal that was scored by the late Junior Agogo. Laie, thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure having you and your analysis here on the show.
Thank you, Nat. Thanks for having me. And a very good morning here.
Very well.
For listeners and
very
viewers.
Well. Very well. Look, you have some very good memories from Ghana-Nigeria games, and we'll quickly want to go into them before we go back to Fisayo for his final comments on how he expects the Super Eagles to approach the minimum of 2 games that will be played in this upcoming tournament. Let's roll back. I mean, Ghana 2008 and that big friendly that was played in Brentford, and how you descended on that game and took over the whole midfield. Let's roll back and let's do some throwing back.
Yeah, thank you very much. I quite remember before the game, Ghana, Nigeria. We all know Ghana, Nigeria games are very important for the 2 nations. We are brothers. Ghana, Nigeria, I always say we are brothers. Even though we have Togo, Benin in between us, we click more than the other 2 countries. So every game is a very competitive game between these 2 countries, and it's a game that everybody have to come out and then play his heart out. So going to the game against Brentford, Ghana have gone a very long years without beating Nigeria. Our best game will be draw. I quite remember the best game between 1994, Senegal 92. Since we beat them with Abedi Pele's and all that, we did not beat them till that Brentford game. So building up to the game, we had a lot of pressure, a lot of people telling us, "Oh, we've not beaten them since '92." And for us going into the game, most of the players I quite remember from the hotel to the game, Brentford Stadium, I can see the bus that we were traveling with. Everyone was quiet. I quite remember a player like Michael Essien quiet on the bus. Everybody was quiet because we wanted to change that narrative, because we've gone many years without beating them. Our best game against them will be a draw. So for us, we want to win the game at all costs. And then talking of playing in front of like Ghanaians in London, I know they have a lot of Nigerians there too, but we also have a number of Ghanaians that wanted supporting the team. We wanted to come out and then play our hearts out. I'll be very honest. When we started the game, because of the tension, we were jittery in the first 5 to 10 minutes. Nigeria could have scored like 2-3 easy goals. 2-3 easy goals, but we were able to contain them and then frustrate them till we had a grip on the game. But as soon as we found our feet in the game, we started dominating play. I was lucky. I had a very understandable squad around me. Top players at that time. Most of us are playing regular in our clubs. Consistency in our clubs, and then we have a lot of unity in our group. So we put up a very good performance, and I quite remember the Nigerians were disappointed because they also had a very good squad. They were disappointed. At some point, the fans have to jump on the field and then stop the game for some time because they were disappointed with the performance the Nigerian players are putting up. But that day, you cannot take anything away from us. We came in, the determination, and then the quality of the players that we have, I think, played a major role in that game. And we were happy, we were happy that we beat them. We all know that if Nigeria beat us too, they will be very happy. But till today, I'm so happy that I was part of that squad that played. And then remember, I quite remember before I came into the game, I had a call from Israel. They had a goalkeeper, Wanyama. He was playing in my former club, Hapoel Tel Aviv. But there was a fan in Hapoel Tel Aviv that I still keep in touch. They were talking about the game, and then the fan mentioned me to Wanyama. Is it their goalkeeper? It's not Wanyama. Is it Wanyama, right? If I'm correct.
Yes.
Inyama.
Yes. Inyama,
yes.
Right? Yes. So the fan told me, Inyama said, I can't do anything. I cannot do anything in the game. They are better players than us. So for me, going into the game, that was my motivation. That I put one goal at the back of the net. And luckily for me, I had the first goal in that game, which for me is one of the best goals I've ever scored in the Black Stars. Which is very good. I got the ball from the wide area. Stephen Appiah made a deep run. I pretended giving him the ball, but I cut in, and then I used my weaker foot to put the ball at the bottom corner of the pole, and that was the most excitement in my career at that time. After the game, no conversation again. I think I proved him that I have what it takes to perform against almighty Nigeria.
Wow, amazing stuff there. And 2008 was something else. You had, an injury problem, and you couldn't, give your full for that tournament and how long we played in it, all the way to the last four. But there was Ghana Nigeria, a quarterfinal game at the Accra Stadium, and the Black Stars needed to win.
Yeah, that game too was like, the game was is being played in Ghana. You know how many Nigerians we have in Ghana. A lot. At some point, you can turn around and look. Half of the stadium is covered with green and white, and then you look at the other side and you see the red. Green, the stadium was divided. And it's a very good feeling. Even though I was happy to see my team win, I was also disappointed that this is the kind of games that I wanted to play 100%. But that day we put up a very good show, and you can see the rivalry between the players. Even though we are friends, but the build up to the game, and then when you look at during the warm up and all that, you can see, no, this is battle. There's no friends anymore. After the game, we can go and party like we did after the game. But during the game, we all know that, okay, this is something that we have to win. And then we're talking about playing the game in front of Ghanaians, play Accra Sports Stadium. I think there is no way we have to lose that game. And Nigeria, they provoke us, they use our celebration after Yakubu score.
Yeah, I remember very well. Yeah, I remember very, very well.
that was our celebration. Then they use it. And then we were asking, oh, wow, you come in here to mock us? No way. So I think it was a very good game as well, a very competitive game. I think we did everything that we have to do to win that game. It's not about beautiful football, and I give thumbs up to the Nigerian team. Then, they have one of the best squads in Nigerian history. You can see a very solid team. I can see the unity in that as well. So I think it was very good to be part of that game as well.
Okay, before we bring Fisayo in for his final thoughts, you've spoken about the quality of the team at the time. Years down the line, what kind of responsibility does it then place on this younger generation? Because the fans have seen the quality. They've seen the delivery before. They've seen a Super Eagles side which has intimidated before. So give me your assessment of the weight of expectation, on this current generation, especially at this time when they're also not on top of the table, which is also another assignment they need to execute.
For me, looking at the Nigerian squad, and both Nigeria and Ghana squad, you can see that most of them have quality, and they are playing in one of the best leagues in the world. But the pressure comes from their previous players that were playing in those national teams. I've raised the bar very high. If you go to Nigeria, when you go back to JJ Okocha's time, Kanu Iwankus and all that, Nigerians have seen such players, and they saw what they brought to the table. They saw the glory days. They saw the kind of football that they put up. So it's like every generation, every Nigerian is looking at that level. So anything you do have to be the same or even better than what JJs and Kalus and all those players, Sunday Olise's did for the country. You come to Ghana too, you look at Abedi Pele's time, what they did for the country. So it's like them former players have raised the bar very high in the kind of football they played. So now it puts a lot of pressure on the current generation. But don't get me wrong, the current generation, they are not bad at all. They are playing so well. I watched Nigeria against Zimbabwe. I watched the game. Nigeria dominated play. But then again, it comes with the modern football. If you can't hurt your opponent, they can come back and hurt you last minute. That was exactly what happened to Nigeria against Zimbabwe in that qualifier. But for me, that game, Nigeria dominated play. They created a lot of chances. They couldn't score. They had one goal from Osimhen, still dominating play. They control the game very well. The players that they have, they playing like modern football. They have quality in the final third, runs in behind, creating a lot of chances. But just the final touch that will go in the goal. Their top player, Osimhen, how many goals he missed in front of goal? Chances he missed in front of goal. But the quality of Nigeria game played that game was top notch, but just that they couldn't score, and then last minute Zimbabwe came back with because they all went up and then one ball in behind, and then they caught them by offensive transition, and the guy put the ball at the back of the 1-1. So for me, I think Nigerians, they still have a good squad, but the bar that the previous players raised is very high. So Nigerians are expecting more than that. So that's one thing the current players have to put it at the back of their mind that, hey, the bar is high. We have to get there or we have to go over it.
All right. We're still here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM, picking some thoughts from around the world, two friends from the United States of America, Coach Laye Kingston and Atapoku, and also going to the heart of Nigeria, where Fisayo Diaro is joining us with his thoughts as well. Let's go to Fisayo for his final thoughts. Now, the opening game will be against Ghana, and there will be a second game. It will be either, a third place game against, Trinidad and Tobago or Jamaica, depending on how things go. But what kind of game are you expecting the Super Eagles of Nigeria to play against Ghana in this friendly, which it will be cast in the mold of a very serious competitive game?
Yeah, I think if there's any confirmation we need, we've got that from Laye Kingston, who told us that there are no friendly games between these two countries. Even the players know that. And the kind of game I expect a fiercely competitive game. Why? Because, like I mentioned, a number of players that Nigeria will be using will be players that want to be part of the main Super Eagles squad. And that competition is coming 6 months before the Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. So it's going to represent a golden opportunity for players to stake their claims. And how best can you stake your claim than when the established stars are not available? Maybe a lot of them will be, but we know for the fact that Victor Osimhen will not be available. Now, whenever Osimhen is not there, Nigeria have not won matches in the World Cup qualifiers. That's one of the biggest problems we had. In our first 4 games, Osimhen was not around, and Nigeria failed to win any of the games. His first game, Nigeria won 2-0. The Zimbabwe game, he had scored. Pardon, Larry?
Thank God he's not there.
Okay. Now, yeah, you can thank God he's not there, but he's a friendly. He was not there when Nigeria defeated Ghana in a friendly last year, by the way. But so I just hope that the players can use that as the needed tonic they need to stake a claim for shirt. Whether we like it or not, there are regular players. There are players with absolute shirts in the national team. From goal, we have Wabali in the defense. Talk about Calvin Bassey, Ola Aina, Alex Iwobi, Wilfred Ndidi, Victor Osimhen. But there's like 3-4 places up for grabs, and that is what is there for these players. They are good players in their own right. Take for instance the games against Rwanda and Zimbabwe. A certain Frank Onyeka was dropped. And this is a player that was instrumental to Nigeria getting to the final of the AFCON. So a lot of players are not playing for the Super Eagles are also top quality players. So they come there with 2 motivation. One, it's Ghana. Nobody wants to lose to Ghana. They know that from when they were in Nigeria. Then 2, it's a golden opportunity to stake a claim to the national team, not only for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers in September, but once you enter that final 23 in September and October, you have a foot at the AFCON in December. And when it's in major competition that legends make their names for the national team. So if you don't get to play in major competition for your country, then your name will be forgotten. People can easily remember likes of Laria and likes because they played the AFCON at the World Cup finals. So if the best way for you to get to that AFCON, because we are not sure we are going to make it to the World Cup, we have the AFCON ticket in the bag already. Go there against Ghana, and I'm sure they will play all their hearts out and give the spectators at the GTEC Stadium the best of time. And Nigerians back home, I keep repeating because I remember that Unity Cup in 2004 very vividly played at the Valley Stadium of Charlton Athletic in England. It was memorable. We won the first game 3-0 against Republic of Ireland, beat Jamaica 2-0 in the final. We want to repeat it. And how best to repeat it? If not by starting by whipping our regional and arch rivals Ghana in the semi-final.
You wish.
All right. Fisayo, what realistic projection would you give to the Super Eagles in this? And I'll carry this round, this question round, so that Atapoku and Lai also tell me what realistically they believe they can do in terms of result and performance. Because whether we like it or not, results from this tournament will have an effect on the way fans place their emotions and their support, behind the respective teams.
Yeah, the realistic expectation for this competition, right? The Unity Cup.
Yes.
Okay. It's simple. Eric Chell is just starting his reign as the Super Eagles manager. He has managed 2 games. One ended in excitement. One ended in agony. Nigeria do not have time. And he knows that the best time to prove himself for Nigeria will be at a major tournament, at the AFCON. So the same thing that applies to the players applies to him as well. The players that will come for the Unity Cup. If he does not inspire confidence, if he does not win the confidence and support of Nigerian fans, because let me tell you for free, a lot of Nigerians were against Eric Chell being named as Super Eagles coach. You know the way we are. How can a Malian come to be Nigeria's coach? Yes, he's born in France, and I mean he's a French Malian, so to say, but he's a Malian coach for crying out loud. So the best way to win the hearts of Nigerians is by results. The last international window did not specifically, because the game against Zimbabwe, as much as we did well, his in-game management was not good enough, especially at the time when we scored, when the game was becoming 10 minutes to the end. He was still making like-for-like changes, striker for striker, when you have 3 strikers, 3, 4 attackers on the pitch. So he has left a bad first impression. Now the Unity Cup comes with an opportunity for him to correct that mistakes, and then he's lucky. Our players listen more to foreign coaches than local coaches. So whoever comes knows that they want to impress the foreign coach, so they will give their best. So
did you? Okay, so you've mentioned something also that is critical and becomes important for various African teams, that the players listen more to foreign coaches than homegrown coaches. Is that the case?
Yeah, it is. Especially,
what's
we're having a.
What's the cost?
Yeah, we're having I think basically we're having a pandemic in Nigeria in our national team at the moment. I know Ghana have a little bit of that as well, but it's becoming a pandemic in Nigeria. Why? Because players born abroad, born in Europe especially, are the ones considered good enough to play for the national team. So when you bring a lot of these players that are used to, coaches around there, the skin, the way they talk, the way they structure. And so when they come back to play under even Nigerian football legends, they tend not to be totally submissive. I heard a lot of things that happened under Finidi George. For instance, the game against South Africa in Rio, Finidi told Calvin Bassey, this game you are playing as a left back. You do not have a recognized left back. So you stay at the left back. Let's play in this. I believe this system will work for us. But Calvin Bassey blatantly refused. He played at the centre back. We had to use a centre back at left back, and then we didn't win the game. It's one of the problems we have in the World Cup qualifiers. Now, fast forward to Eric Chell. This man came. He says he was going to play his 4-4-2 formation. And in the game against Rwanda in Kigali, Moses Simon, who is a winger, was playing as a centre forward with Osimhen. Ademola Lookman, who plays on the left and cuts in and shoots, was playing as a 10. And none of these players grumbled. They did what he wanted. And when in the game against Zimbabwe, Iwobi and Ndidi were spent on the pitch, because a lot of these guys were playing out of position. Samuel Chukwueze, a winger, was playing as a central midfielder. Lookman, the same way, was playing as a 10. Not his best position, but they did not object because this is a foreign coach. So it's the reality. It could be a psychological. It may not be what they want to do naturally, but it's a psychological effect. When they just like when we went to AFCON, Jose Peseiro changed the formation to back 3 at the middle of the tournament, and none of these players came to say, "Coach, we are used to back 4." If that were to be a Nigerian coach, they would have probably told me, "Coach, we are used to back 4." So it's a fundamental thing that has happened to the western side of Africa. I know that this does not happen in North Africa because anyway, they have a lot of their own coaching them, So to wrap up what I was saying, that particular thing will play into the heads of the players. Whoever turns up against Ghana knows that they have to win the game because the coach wants to win the game 100% by giving confidence to his fans and the NFF, the Nigeria Football Federation, because they are trigger happy. If, let's say, he loses against Ghana and in top place, he loses. But whatever happens, if he doesn't get the results in September, he might be out of job.
Yeah, Fisayo, if I have to add something to what you just said, and to make it clear, to understand what you are saying, is for me, it's true. It's true that when you look at foreign coaches, African players listen to foreign coaches. It's true, but this is the reason. One thing we should all know that every player that is playing in Europe, coming down from Europe, they're playing with top coaches. You know, they are working under top coaches. So the level that they are in now, they understand the modern football. So my point is, this should make most of the African coaches, or let's say homegrown coaches, should educate themselves more. Because a player like Osimhen have played under top coaches in Europe. So whenever he sees a very good coach, the way he works, that will give him a knowledge that, oh no, this coach knows what he's doing, so I have to respect him. You know, so that comes to coaching education. I always say that we Africans, we are laid back when it comes to coaching education. I'm not saying I've played football to the highest level, so therefore I have to be a very good coach. And it's not guaranteed that you've played football to the highest level, you are going to be a very good coach. It's all about education. And I see most of former players or African coaches doesn't want to learn. They even go into coaching courses and then they are thinking about getting my coaching badge and go and find a job and do. They are not focusing on whatever they are going to. They take away on the course, and that they can add whatever they have on it to improve themselves. So all these top players, when they come down and they see the way you work, even your communication, that will determine whether they rating you high and they will listen to you. If you rate a person high, it shouldn't be what he has on paper. It should be the way he works. And this is what I've noticed with our local coaches. The way they behave around the foreign players when they come down, the way they communicate with them, even their work, the way they work, no player will believe you because will trust you because they're playing at the top level. So listen to you well. They will listen to foreign coaches. They leave the local coaches because they notice that the local coach is not giving them a positive information that can help them grow, that can help them achieve that. But when they see that the local coach have what it takes to bring them to level 1 to level 5, even if it's a center back and the local coach tell them, okay, I think this game, because of the game plan, the approach to the game, I think I will need you as a DM. So go and play there. You will listen to them. You will listen to that coach and go and play. So it all comes to most of the local coaches have to make sure they educate themselves well so that when the foreign players comes down, when they see your work, your coaching points, the information you passing it on, with them they understand, oh wow, you know what you are doing. Then they will listen to you. So I think that's my point on this matter.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Great stuff there. Fisaro, we've taken so much more of your time, but we're grateful to you. We sure are going to be having some more of these conversations, but most importantly, we're starting the conversations around now, and it's important that the teams get themselves ready for that assignment, and we wish you well. Thank you so much, Fisaro, for your time this afternoon.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
So, Fisaro Diayo is the chief writer for ACP Sport Online from Lagos, Nigeria, joining us with his thoughts and his analysis on the Super Eagles of Nigeria, who will be a key element of the upcoming Unit Cup tournament that'll be played in the United Kingdom. Let me go to Atapoku now. Ata, you've listened to quite a number of issues. And you do realize that here in West Africa, because of interaction and all of that, our problems seem to be the same. And Ghana just seems to have found a way. I'm not saying all the problems have gone away, but from the look of things, it just looks like the Black Stars have found a way around some of their issues, and there is a certain level of calmness which is paving the way for the job to be done. Am I right when I say that, Attoh?
Absolutely, you got a spot on that. You see, the results always paper over a lot of the cracks in the team. Football is a result business. Once you get the results, everybody doesn't care who didn't pass to who on the pitch. But if you don't get the results, that's where we go into the very minor details in the team. And I'm happy it is the Unity Cup. For us, the most significant challenge we've had in recent times has been a unity of purpose. We only become united when it's closer to games, and then we'd have to put everything together and try and get a result. Most often than not, it has not happened. I don't think I have his permission to say this, but once he's here with me, I would want to say this and share it with the public. I was live just before we played against Mozambique. And one of the things he raised in Abidjan to me was, look, yes, there are no minnows in football, but when you have a cohesive unit, when the team is cohesive, you have a chance of playing against even the very best in the world. I didn't understand him until that 2-2 draw. So I think I called Fifi Takian and I told him, look, I think Lai Kinson was trying to say something about football in recent times that we didn't understand. Once you get the results, everybody will see you as a united group. I'm pretty sure our 2006 team that he was part of had issues. The 2020 team had issues. Every single human establishment has issues. But the football we play currently is a results business. The issues about Nigeria and who played in which position and how Osimhen was playing up front with Moses Simon and Lukman is here was all because they didn't get the results. It took just one moment for Zimbabwe to spoil everything. So you look at the training program, training schedule, activities, team meetings, video analysis, all of them have to be put to the test in a period of 90 minutes. At worst, 120 minutes. So we have to cultivate a new mindset about results in football. You can lose football games, but when we look at application and results, and they are all together, you have a problem. You didn't apply yourself well, and as a result, you didn't get the results you were looking for. The game has now become a lot more difficult than it was in the past. If a team that is supposed to be a minnow comes up against our Black Stars and manage to win individual battles on the pitch, that team is more than likely to get the results they want because they would have shown more tenacity, intensity, and aggression, and the application would be there. In commentary position, you hear people saying this team is playing to a rehearsed party. No, the coach on the bench, the video analyst in the stands, and the players on the pitch are all operating at the same level and in tandem to get results. There are two things that we will be faced with going into the next window. Unfortunately for us, we played in March. We are not playing in June. The next window is going to be in September, and you would have to put that one to good use because it is two things. You look at our record before we played the last two international games against Chad and Madagascar. We were that poor. We were one of the worst performing teams on the continent. So we either stand up and say, look, Black Stars got a new lease of life and won 2 games and are building on that to get to the level we believe we can get to, or everybody will sit back again and say, that is Black Stars. They only pointed our appetite and then they've brought us back to ground zero. It was just a mirage, a 9-day wonder, a flash in the pan. They just won 2 games and they are back to default settings. So it's very important every member of the team sees to it that we build on what we got in the last international window and then go forward. There ought to be some realization that this Unity Cup is part of the preparations for Coach Otuado and his technical team and the players to continue the emerging growth of the Black Stars. Once we see it like that, we will be amenable to the mistakes they would make, because they need these Unity Cup friendly matches, even though it's against Nigeria, to make some of the significant mistakes by trying out new players, new systems, so that by the time we convene for the real deal in September, we would be very ready. I have been of the opinion for quite a long time now that we have a good individual base to build something for our Black Stars. The kind of players we have, you see some individual quality in there. Our problem has been operating as a unit and then applying ourselves together to get the results we are looking for. So it's a new lease of life for us. The results paper over the cracks, and consistently we would have to know that it's not every result that you read all the meanings into. I was at Accra Sports Stadium when we drew goalless with Sudan. I turned around and then at the end of the game, I told Patrick Akoto that, look, if this game continues for the next 2 days, Black Stars are not scoring. There are days like that in football. You get every application right, but the end result, the goal will not come. Sometimes you just ask yourself, what is it? I mostly tell my friends, look, you are playing against the air sometimes. On some days, it will go in. Some days, it wouldn't go in. So hopefully, we are able to build on what we did in the March international window. But we should see the Unity Cup as an avenue to unite everybody involved in football, everybody who believes in the Black Stars vision, and then unite ourselves to prepare for another onslaught on the World Cup. We are ahead, but I don't want to believe we've qualified, because there are teams that are still chasing us.
There are teams that are still chasing us indeed, and you can also join us with your thoughts. It's 055 1111997. That's our WhatsApp line, 055 1111997. Our good friends from Trinidad and Tobago, James Saunders and also Errol Baptiste, are unable to join us, but we sure will be taking their thoughts for subsequent editions of the show. But of course, considering that they are very much a key part of this, I'm talking about Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica. I'll just quickly take you through the CONCACAF, groups, especially Group B and Group E, where you have these two teams and what the situations are looking like. So Costa Rica are leading with 6 points there at the top of Group B. And Trinidad and Tobago find themselves in second place, with 4 points. St. Kitts and Nevis with 3 points, and then Grenada with 1 point, and the Bahamas with no point so far recorded. So Trinidad and Tobago also have a very, very good chance of making it out of this group and securing a ticket. But of course, the job is not done yet. Now, when you look at Group E as well, Jamaica find themselves even on 6 points with Guatemala. Now, Guatemala have 6 points and a 7-goal advantage. So they've got 9 goals plus, and Jamaica have 2 goals plus. So Guatemala are just leading the table by virtue of goal advantage. So that is the situation there. We've also been joined by my good friend Sam Adeyemi of Arise News in Nigeria, also joining us and joining for the conversation here as we discuss how good it's going to look. Let's welcome Sam to the show. Sam Adeyemi, great to have you, my brother. It's been a while. All right, we'll try to reestablish contact with Sam Adeyemi of Arise News in Nigeria. And now let's come back to you, Attoh. Attoh, so the Caribbean competition, what do they also bring to the table, and how much are we going to draw out of them in terms of competition? Well, just before you make that point, let's just bring in Sam one more time. Sam, good to have you here on the show. Yes, Sam, can you unmute so we can hear you?
Oh, okay.
Great. I can hear you. I can hear you. Yes.
All right.
Yes, great.
Thank you for it's a very, very good opportunity to be here to talk about what we all love to talk about, the beautiful game, which is football, and especially when it involves the Nigeria and Ghana, there's always that excitement there, and I'm happy to be here to talk about the Unity Cup.
Great stuff. We've had a bit of perspective. Now, one of the things I'd want to look at from your end will be that element of using homegrown talent. Now, for Ghana, for instance, in the last couple of qualifiers, we've had the use of a goalkeeper in the Ghana Premier League, okay? Now, what is it looking like for the homegrown talents from the Nigerian Premier League, and what prospects they're showing for, rubbing shoulders with their foreign colleagues and their, and those who are based outside of the country, and those who are even born, Nigerians who were born outside of Nigeria, because we do realize that there's a lot of premium placed on that, when it comes to the Super Eagles and getting opportunities to play. How good is it looking for the homegrown talent?
How good it's been looking for them, it's never been easy, and you can try to understand that, because Nigeria have got a lot of players born outside, and so many that have left the local league to move abroad, which is typical. Most African countries, you can always talk about the fact that your best talents are always out there looking for greener pastures, as we usually look at it, because of better pay and all of that. There's virtually any country outside of Africa, not just in Europe, in Asia, in Middle East, where there are no African talent, they're shining. And for Nigeria, that's the same thing. But it's trying to be something we always try to talk about, and talking about sport journalists, of how much there's need to always infuse the players who are playing at home, who have decided to stick around in the national team setup. In the last qualifiers, we had about 3 of them that were included in the team, but none of them had a minute on the pitch. But people can always try to refer to the goalkeeper of the team now, who has been the goalkeeper since the last leg of the qualifier for the Nations Cup, and it was the main goalkeeper at the Nations Cup. Talking about Stanley Bali, who played for some of the best clubs in the country before he moved to South Africa, where he's currently playing. But aside of him, we've not really had many that have gotten chances. Yes, they do bring some of them into the national team setup. You see their names included, but then when the match day squad is being real out or the game is on, we don't really get to see them on the pitch. And I do understand how important it is that we try to do that. We clamor for that here in the sport journalist, but then the quality is usually what the coaches always tend to talk about. And for some of them who have had a good 1 or 2 chances, there's really nothing much exceptional. And I'm not trying to downplay their talent, but they've really not shown that. For the few of them that have had maybe 1 or 2 minutes or 5 minutes, they've not really shown why they deserve to start ahead of the guys that are starting, that are playing. From the defense to the attack. Unfortunately, that's the situation we found ourselves. But then, if the best player in the local league last year, by the time you will start a new season, he has jetted out to Sudan, he has jetted out to Iraq, Iran, anywhere that they can play better. So we don't have that consistency of having the same player who can play 2-3 years as the best player in the league. And that's because there are all these scouts trying to tell them, you can earn better here, you can earn better here. Unfortunately, it's not good for the local league, but then football is a means to an end. As much as it's an entertainment thing, as much as it's something a lot of us enjoy, the footballers themselves always try to take care of it. And who can blame them? It's the same thing every one of us is trying to do. Survival.
Interesting stuff there. If you're just joining us, we're here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM, having that preparatory discussion ahead of the Unity Cup, which will be played in London. This four-nation tournament becomes very important because of the purpose it will serve for all 4 nations that are taking part. I'm talking about the Soca Boys of Trinidad and Tobago, the Reggae Boys of Jamaica, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and the Black Stars of Ghana. We just heard thoughts from Sam Adeyemi of Arise News, Nigeria, based in Lagos, bringing us his thoughts on the element of homegrown talent. And of course, we say this because the last time Nigeria won the Africa Cup of Nations under the late coach Stephen Keshi, it was the man Sunday Imba who delivered the most important element of the game, which was that goal that got them the trophy eventually. Of course, like I said earlier, it just looks like these problems run along the West Coast among our nations, and sometimes they are very similar. I'll be going to Atapoko very shortly for what these two sides from the CONCACAF zone are going to bring to the two West African teams in terms of giving them a good test. Now, there's a message from Carlos in Johannesburg. He says, I think with the current Black Stars, with the current players that Ghana has, the dedication on the part of the players, the Black Stars will go far. All right, thank you very much. This message was from Carlos in Johannesburg. Now, there's another one here. It says, hello, good afternoon. Coach Lai Kingston coached our daughter's football team at Al Rayyan International School around 2018. He was a huge asset to the team, and we were sad he had to leave. Wishing him all the best with his current role. This is from Parissa in Lashibi. So, Coach Lai Kingston, your team and the students that you taught in Al Rayyan School in the year 2018, they say they miss you. So anytime you come to Ghana, you have to go, looking out for them and touching base with them as well. Okay, so let me come back to you, Atapoku, as we get towards wrapping up the conversations here. We find that Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica both find themselves in second place on their respective groups. Okay, so then this also becomes a very good test for them. But they also will provide a good test in turn for Ghana and Nigeria, right?
Absolutely. And you look at what they are doing in Jamaica, especially in recent times, the kind of players they are convincing to play for them, and the kind of base they have in the UK, we'd have to combine everything here. On the sporting side, they've convinced quite a number of good players to move away from England and then come and play for them. And I expect to see some of these players, including Mason Greenwood, making up the team. And there is something to play for. They need to prepare because they also stand a chance of qualifying for the World Cup. We've played against Mexico and the US in recent times. So if anybody is asking why didn't organizers try to do everything to get Mexico and the US in, we played them not long ago. So we have an opportunity to try another side of the Caribbean. And the good thing about Trinidad and Tobago especially is that we made our debut in the World Cup with them. When we went to Germany in 2006, they also qualified for that same tournament. And they were actually marshaled by Dwight York on the pitch and Leo Binhaka as coach in the dugout. May his soul rest in peace, as he passed on just this week. So it's important that we accept that these two teams are no pushovers. With all due respect, it's not like we are playing against Grenada or Bahamas or one of these down furthers. If you get Mexico, US away, some of the teams that you look out for, Panama has been here recently, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, there are a good set of players in there who would provide competition for the Black Stars on the pitch, and then also provide euphoria for Ghanaians and Nigerians outside of the pitch in the UK. So let's take this assignment very serious, respect the opposition we are going to face, and use the opportunity to test one, personnel, and then two, systems and tactics, whichever way you want to put it, and get ourselves ready. Yes, when we lose to Nigeria, it's always an issue. When we win against them, it's always an issue. But let's look beyond Nigeria and appreciate that whatever happens in that game between Ghana and Nigeria, the winner will go ahead to play against one of Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica, and that there are quality players, like I mentioned, currently playing for these two nations, especially Jamaica, with the way and manner they are converting some of the English boys to go and play for them. Let's enjoy the process. Let's enjoy where we are as a country and be united as ever after this assignment in the UK, so that we don't come back in September and say that, look, it was just a one-off performance. Just as Nigeria had an off performance in the March international window, anybody at all, Ghana could also have some in the September window. But I wish that we both don't do that. And then some way, somehow, find a way to use Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica as a standard to prepare and then qualify for the World Cup in the United States next year.
Yeah,
amazing stuff. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, to attack wisdom. I think it's a very good choice when you look at Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica. I think, like you rightly said, there are a lot of United Kingdom born players that are converting to go and play for Jamaica. So they are not teams that are very that doesn't have a very good players. They have players that are playing in good leagues as well. Most of them are in the MLS, Mexican League, and all that. So I know most of the fans will be looking at just Nigeria and Ghana. So my advice to them is they shouldn't underrate those two countries, because when you look at their World Cup qualifier, either of the two countries can qualify to the World Cup as well. They are doing well in their groups as well, respective groups as well. So we need to, Nigeria and Ghana both need to pay particular attention to these teams. It shouldn't be focusing on each other, but rather focus on Trinidad and Tobago, and then Jamaica as well. And I have to give thumbs up to the organizers. They are very smart. They chose right countries, because we are expecting, like you said, we are expecting United States and Mexico, because when you go to that side, they are the stronger nations that we can tell. But then again, I'm sure Dwight York is still the coach of Trinidad and Tobago, and he has a very big name. He has a very big name in the United Kingdom. So it's also one of the things, it's one of the highlights that most United Kingdom fans, Dwight York fans, would like to come and watch the games, and then give them maximum support. So it's another opportunity for Ghanaians to also go in there. Like Atapoku said again, before we go into that, our last two games in the World Cup qualifier, Attoh was in the verge of losing his job. But I think these last two games, helped him stay or keep his job. And for me, the performance they put up in the last two games, Chad and Madagascar, I think it was a top notch. That has given them a lot of confidence coming into this tournament as well. They should take it serious and try and deliver, try and put up the same performance. My most excitement moment in those two games is they score a lot of goals. Like I always say, Ghanaians, we have a lot of attackers. We have a lot of players that can hurt a lot of teams. But just that we need a little bit consistency in our team, which I believe Attoh put his feet down and then try to bring most of the players that were not happy that left, Partey and all those people, to come and boost the team. And then you can see the performance that they put up. So I wish the team all the best, and I'm happy to see them coming back on their feet and then doing what they have to do for Ghanaians to be happy.
Great stuff there. All right, let me go to Sam Adeyemi for his final thoughts on the general experience that he's expecting for this Unity Cup. Of course, we've got a couple of months to go. A lot of things can happen, including the miracles of having one, pop-out star from, the domestic scene in the Premier League in Nigeria to make it, because I always draw the inspiration from, Sunday Mba.
Thank you for making reference to that. You did mention the last time Nigeria won the Nations Cup in 2013. Out of the 23-man player, yes, Sunday Mba scored the winning goal, but we had 6 homegrown players across 4 different clubs that were represented there. And then Godfrey Babona was one of the centre-back bearing, and he did fantastic in that tournament. So the Unity Cup is another avenue to maybe get 1 or 2 of these guys to join. But then I should also let people know Nigeria is not so good position, like we all know, for the World Cup qualifier. So it is important that this game is not just taken as a normal friendly. At the last time Unity Cup was played was 20 years ago. We're having it, I think it's 04 or 05. That was the last time it was played. And now we're having it again. Whether it's because it's Ghana, whether it's Trinidad, whether it's Jamaica, Nigeria wants to use this game as a turn-up for the last legs of the qualifier, which will be holding in September and October. And as we all know that this is the tail end of the season for most of the players, only very few of them will be participating in the Club World Cup, but then they need some tune-up game. So for Nigeria, it is an important game. It is very, very important that we go there and do the nation proud. Nigerians are not happy with the situation that the Super Eagles have found themselves, especially when it comes to the current position on the World Cup qualifier. So for a bit of excitement and support, Nigeria Super Eagles players know they need to make themselves available and show brightly. This is not something that is just a one-off. It might be 2 games, just the semi-final and then the final, or the top place, as the case may be. But then Nigeria is taking it seriously. All these top stars will be there, and expectedly, the new coach Richel will also try to bring in some of the players from the home base to be part of it. And I'm so happy with the organizers, especially with the location that they chose. Brentford, it's a location that's like a melting pot for a lot of people from Africa and the Caribbeans. So the support will be very, very loud. I can almost, and I think the organizer look at it very well. Where do we have maximum participation from the home? From the neighborhood, people will tune up to that stadium. We have a lot of Ghanaians in diaspora who stays in London. Same thing with Nigeria, and for the Caribbeans, Jamaica. Some of the players that are trying to. I saw a particular player, Ethan Pinnock, I think of Brentford, is most likely going to be making his debut for Jamaica because he has never been called up by the English national team. So it's another one for them, and everybody, we should be looking forward to a great tournament. It looks like a friendly, but the Unity Cup itself is well structured, and for everything participating, especially Nigeria, it's for the win. Because we do need something to share up the people.
Very well, very well. Sam Adeyemi of Arise News reaching us from the heart of Lagos there. 2 contributors from Lagos this afternoon. And of course, Sam, the last time we touched base in Morocco, the cities of Rabat, Marrakesh and all of that. This time the Black Stars are not playing in the Nations Cup, so I may breeze through, but we'll have to meet in London, right?
Yes, you do know that, like I was saying, and this is not just right. So Nigeria and Ghana, we just have this brotherhood thing. Yeah. So if Nigeria is not going to make the World Cup, why don't we allow Ghana to go represent us? Just like Ghana is not going to make the Nations Cup. We're sure that we'll give you good representation. Nigeria will make Ghanaians proud at the Nations Cup. So you also have to do that at the 2026.
One good turn deserves another. Very well. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you so much, Sam. And of course, thank you so much, Atapoku. Thank you so much for making the time to be with us. We're grateful to you, Coach Lai Kingston as well. And we sure are going to pick up the rest of these conversations going forward into the coming weeks. We're very grateful to you, gentlemen, for making the show this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you, Nat.
Thank you for having us.
Another great show.
Thank you. Thank you. And of course, some updates from the ongoing Hoop Rave basketball tournament for second cycle institutions. Infantimim School beat Adisadel to make it to the semi-finals of the competition. Well, there are other fixtures that have also been played already. Okwas versus Chimota School, Opokuwari versus Ketasco, and Prempe versus Was. Of course, in the coming days and on tomorrow's show, on the update show, on Sunday Sports Arena, we're going to bring you all of the updates from this particular one. Thank you so much. Happy belated birthday to you, Esther Jemfua. She's soon to become Dr. Esther Jemfua. Hey, Esther Jemfua. Of the production department at television here at the Multimedia Group. You have a wonderful time. Kwame Dazi and the rest of the team will take over with Showbiz A to Z. And of course, the highest paid DJ will bring you some very good music to spice up the conversations as well. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week to bring you another show. My name is Nathaniel Attoh, and I have love for sport.